Common misconception among the parents that approach in education should be STEM heavy, or there is a gradual bias in the minds of the Indian parents to lean towards STEM education, considering it to be more safe and prestigious, and possibly here they are looking at a very secured outcome. However, when the preparation of this kind has to begin, it can't be a target towards a foreign university or admission into a particular course abroad. According to me, this kind of a process of going abroad for education should start around when the child is about 13 to 14 years.
Hi, I am Sashwati Sarkar and you're watching The Times of India. How soon is too soon to start prepping for Harvard or Oxford? And can schools actually build global readiness without turning kids into burnout cases? Is it better to ace your APs or dive deep into all-round grind of the IB Diploma? Joining us today for unraveling all of it is someone who has led schools across curricula, shaped international pathways and mentored countless global admits. Dr. Dillip Panda, principal of Sela Qui International School. Let's decode the real roadmap to global education success. Welcome to the show, Dr. Panda. Dr. Panda, you have led top-tier schools offering both national and international curricula, right? So what specific competencies do students gain from CAIE or IB style programs that give them an edge in global university admissions?
See, this both CAIE as well as IB program, they're designed in such a way that right from the entire program continuum has got very similar competency, benchmarks and matrices. Say the moment you start something like an IB PYP or a early years program with Cambridge, it's actually predominantly inquiry led. It is based on a good quantum of research work, and entire thing actually is then led towards generation of curiosity, which slithers into the tertiary education whenever we are looking for admissions abroad after completion of the entire continuum. So the learner's profile that both the curriculum they actually look at uh, increases the possibility of literally independent learning if you complete their continuum. So this really gives an advantage and edge while you are looking at continuing your tertiary degree abroad, any of the universities abroad. So there is a natural process which is integrated into it. I think the perspective hasn't changed right from the day we started learning, but the element of curiosity and independence while you are taking this, this entire continuum of learning is slightly more well defined and structured with the international curriculum.
Yeah, Dr. Panda, so what are the 2 to 3 most common misconceptions that parents have about studying abroad, especially in the early schooling years?
So, Indian parents have got slightly a fixed mindset here. There is the first common misconception is that, if you are enrolling your child into an international curriculum, possibly, there is a misconception that it is directed towards securing foreign admission or admission into a foreign university. So there is actually no direct connect between that. There are existing national curricula as well. But the idea of actually going through an international curriculum is to bring in the right kind of perspective. Whether you call it global perspective, whether you call it intellectual curiosity. So the pathway is very different and it is no way directly connected to seeking admissions abroad. There is also a common misconception among the parents that approach in education should be STEM heavy, or there is a gradual bias in the minds of the Indian parents to lean towards STEM education, considering it to be more safe and prestigious, and possibly here they are looking at a very secured outcome. However, when the preparation of this kind has to begin, it can't be a target towards a foreign university or admission into a particular course abroad. This has to be slightly more broader, holistic, and slightly, not generally targeting towards a particular university, but looking at the courses of similar nature. And once this kind of a target is fixed, or once this kind of a goal is fixed, then I think it should begin slightly early. uh, According to me, this kind of a process of going abroad for education should start around when the child is about 13 to 14 years.
Right.
So
That
that by
takes
the
us to
time.
our next question. I was just going to ask you, in terms of college readiness, how early should students start preparing for international universities or global education?
So here again, again we are talking Indian. So if you'd like, you can complete your question if there is any other angle to it.
No, no, you are talking, you just started your answer on when they should start preparing for, right?
Yeah.
That's, I mean, that was, so I just said, this is something that I was going to come to.
Right. So if we are clear about the pathway of the student, that he or she is likely to pursue this kind of a course in a targeted group of universities, the preparation to that should actually begin when the child is about 13 to 14 years old, because you really have to build a profile or a clear pathway for the child. And here the role of the school is very, very significant, because everything really can't be, of course there are paid counseling as well, but it is always organic if the school structured guidance can support the child towards the likely outcome in terms of admission into a particular university. And the student should actually be encouraged to indulge in authentic exploration, where the interest and strength of the child can really manifest through this pursuit. So identification of the characteristics of the child is really key, because a school cannot direct a child towards a wrong course or a wrong university. Because there is also a feedback that we have received in the past, that after a year or two, after a semester or two, children have come back to us saying that, well, was it the right choice for me? I begin to wonder. So to do that, actually we need to reinforce this in a labyrinthine manner, starting at a grade 14, starting at age 14. That's the right way to go about it.
Yeah, also, Dr. Panda, it's very tough for students to balance their existing, the preparation for their existing curricula or curriculum with preparation for other competitive exams and also, international exams. So, how can schools help them balance the two without overwhelming them?
I think it's very important to place on the table what are the priorities. You see, generally, whenever we try to guide anybody, we tell these students not to chase every subject, not to chase every exam, but to be a little more cautious in their approach towards what area is that a strength area or not. And this we always advise them not to indulge too much into these pressure driven metrics, because like the way you are saying that balancing between the curriculum and also the open competitive examinations, or examinations which actually lead them towards admissions in foreign universities, there are also appropriate time for this. Now, it is very important on the part of the school counselor or the leadership to understand what is the most appropriate time to divide between college application preparation to build the profile to go into the actual admission process, and then when to come back to complete the mastery in the subject. That is also a very significant component here. So here the role of the mentor, whoever is the, whether it's the teacher, is the counselor, anybody, really becomes significant, but it can be very systematically compartmentalized. So
Right.
the role of the school is very important here.
Dr. Panda, you have been a former IB coordinator and a CAIE leader, right? So, what's your take on this debate? School grades plus APs versus holistic IB diploma. What works better for top tier universities like Oxford and Stanford?
You are actually placing two different latitudes into this one. Oxford requires a different kind of orientation, and Stanford requires a very different kind of
If you could
orientation.
elucidate on both.
So So, like in some of the live interviews that I have seen while the intake process is on with Oxford. Now these are very very subject heavy. The mastery in the subject is considered to be a top priority for an Oxford or a Cambridge, whereas Stanford and the Ivy Leagues generally, they are much more holistic in their outcome. They do not, place less premium on the subject, but things like socially responsive characteristics or traits of the student also has got a predominant premium in their admission. So if we are targeting to a university like Oxford, maybe the kind of subject mastery that is offered in at A level or AS level with Cambridge plus an AP would suit more. I'm not saying that these are the clear pathways, but CAI, AS level or A level plus an AP might work better because better for Oxford, and and a lot more kind of a holistic process along with an IB six subject mastery curriculum with extended essays and TOK and CAS. This will really work well for a Stanford kind or an Ivy League perspective. It will work better, but then again, it is not watertight compartment. It's really depends on what kind of course that you want.
Dr. Panda, we are seeing a rise in students combining STEM subjects with humanities or business electives for interdisciplinary programs abroad. What's your advice on course selection at the high school level to keep multiple pathways open without compromising depth or academic strength?
You see, I think this is a really welcome change in this entire pedagogical revolution that has taken place in the recent past. Policymakers have also become quite open to the idea of not putting less premium on STEM or more premium on STEM, and then beside this, a liberal art or humanities or a commerce dominated subject. So this concept of streaming that we had, it was actually in the mind, but the kind of skill set that is required by the existing job market has really blurred the distinction between STEM subject and the subject which is on the other side of it. I think there is a blurring line, there is a democratization of learning that I'm beginning to notice, and it's a very very welcome change. And this
I'm very
open
happy to hear
interdisciplinary.
this as well. It's this
Yeah.
democratization is was the need of the hour, was long awaited, I would
Yes.
say.
So when a science student is adding electives like an economics, like a psychology, or like geography, or for that matter, finance as a subject, I think what we are really looking at is enhancement of a certain skill and taking it almost to the level of computational perfection, which is really helping the children to then slither into different career opportunities. Please understand also that it is no longer a straight pathway career wise.
Right.
I mean, people will have many careers, many different jobs in their pathway, and one would be quite contrasting to the one that they are likely to take. So I think this blurring of distinction is a really welcome challenge. And one advice to the students is that now in this process, it's very churlish or very foolish to pursue that you will have all the subjects in the basket. One has to be very judicious in selecting what subject and what will really help them to go to the next step, because I'm sure every student knows what's the right step, at least the right one step they know, and it's very important to choose and judge what is the next step. So I think it's a really good combination that is being offered these days.
Right. So that brings me to my to the last question of this discussion. Do
Right.
you think Indian students and their schools are ready to rethink destinations based on academic fit rather than legacy bias?
So I don't think whether there is a readiness to think or not. I think it's been 5 years, or I would say more than 5 years now. Most of the schools have started thinking very positively to destinations which is beyond legacy, beyond a name. And right now, the catchword actually is academic fit. So if a child has that ability to actually explore high level of, or say minutest level of engineering, refined level of engineering, I think they are looking at Germany with a lot more anticipation. If they are looking at a pursuing a management degree with multicultural environment, they are looking at the Netherlands, they are looking at Spain, they are looking at France with a lot more open mind. Even, I mean, why discount a place like Asia, when institutions in Singapore, institutions in Hong Kong, institutions in Manila,
Japan
for
also.
that, yeah, that matter has been gaining a lot of eyeballs, and students and parents, in fact schools, there is an increasing footfall of the children from of Indian origin into those universities and institutions. And I think that's a real welcome change here. QS ranking is no longer the indicator
Only
of
yardstick or indicator, right?
this is really not the only indicator. People have become smarter. And I think this smartness has come out of awareness. It is no longer one counselor sitting somewhere and directing them. It is also the kind of feedback these children are getting from the existing alumni, existing graduates from these institutions, which is really making a lot of uh, impact in the way they are choosing careers and course and streams. So I think that's really is speaking very loudly about our ability to think beyond.
Right. Dr. Panda, thanks a lot for this very meaningful and insightful conversation. And thanks a
Thank you,
lot for
sir.
your time.